guys, Rob from Rob's Model Cars, and today you join me for a very special review. What I have here is the brand new AUTOart Koenigsegg One. Now, it's taken AUTOart their sweet time to get this model released. We've all been waiting for a 1.1 to be released in a long time, an opening version that is, as there has been the Frontier sealed resin versions. But this is the new composite AUTOart Koenigsegg One. So let's start with the packaging. Comes in a very similar box to AUTOart's older Signature Series models, so just basically a plain box with a bit of AUTOart branding on it. You do have Koenigsegg One on the end. And first thing I noticed when I got this model is how light this box feels. It is a composite model, so it is not die cast, so I'm not expecting a heavy model, but this box feels very light. So if we open the box up, model comes in a foam shell as standard. We'll just remove that. It does have the removable roof section is attached in the box here, and we've got the standard AUTOart opening key. If we remove the lid, I've pre-cut the tape already. Here is the AUTOart Agera 1.1. Now it's just screwed, I haven't even unscrewed this yet, this is still screwed onto the base. There's 4 screws underneath. I'll get this unscrewed and we'll put it on the turntable and we'll have a closer look. But I do want to mention that unlike a lot of other AUTOart models that come with a certificate of authenticity, this model does not. So I'm not sure whether this is limited model or whether AUTOart are just going to keep producing this while it's selling. So unlike the die-cast AUTOart Koenigsegg Agera that I have, that is a full die-cast model and that came with a COA. So not exactly sure what's going on there. Maybe AUTOart just want to make a ton of these models and they're not worried about limiting the production number. Anyway, that aside, first thing I was a bit concerned when I got the model was the door gaps, because there's been some reports on Facebook about horrendously fitting doors. I'm happy to say that the door gaps look pretty good on this model. So yeah, no big gaping door gaps like I've seen posted on Facebook. So that's a good start. So yeah, look, I'll unscrew this from the base. We'll put it on the turntable and we'll have a closer look at this new Koenigsegg One by AUTOart. Okay, here she is. So first impressions, the model looks really good. I'm really happy with the overall presentation of the model. The paint looks very good on the white part of the body. No complaints there. The red detail accent lines are very crisp and nicely applied. And the carbon fibre pattern on the most part is tampon printed. So that means that it's sort of like, well, not quite like a decal, but they stamp ink coloured pads onto the body to get the carbon pattern. Now, we'll start with the carbon while I'm talking about it. It does have a centre line and it is right and left matched. So this is your tampon printing on the hood. Through the engine compartment is tampon printing, and in the side scoops is tampon printing as well. What lets the model somewhat down for me is the rest of the parts. So this front splitter piece, the side canards, the side sills, and the rear wing are just textured plastic. So they are not tampon printed, they are not decal. They do look okay. They look very similar to the tampon printing, but if you feel them, you can tell that they are plastic pieces. And of course the wheels. Now the wheels are textured plastic as well. It's not a huge deal, as I say. It does look very similar to the tampon printing of the carbon fibre, but the big letdown is that it's not gloss. Now, as we all know, the carbon fibre on these Ageras is full gloss carbon fibre, and the fact that it is a matte carbon fibre does somewhat detract from the model. Now, if you compare it to a high-end resin model, it's all full gloss, but there is a bit of a price difference. So a lot of guys will accept that as a compromise because it is a fully opening model. I did as well, which is why I bought it. This model retailed for $270 off AUTOart's website. I'm not sure whether anyone else is selling them cheaper than that, but that is the price. Now, I paid a few years ago, I think around $400 for my Frontier sealed resin version. And that is a lot more accurate in the paint finish and the carbon fiber, but it's a sealed model. It does not open. So there is your dilemma, whether you want an opening model or you want a more accurate paint finish model. So let's start with the front of the model. Obviously at this price point, AUTOart does provide you with photo etched mesh in all the grille openings, front and rear, the back of the model as well. Headlight detail is done really well. You do have your daylight running lights up the side. I think that is a carbon fiber textured panel inside the headlights as well. So the headlights are done quite well. You've got a nice little Koenigsegg photo etch badge on the front, carbon finish on these fender louvers, and a nice little Koenigsegg script on the hood there as well. Plastic is really clear and nice for the windows, the front windscreen, the side windows. Just a little plastic wiper in the middle, but that looks quite good. It doesn't look out of scale or anything, so pretty happy with that. You do have the nice little Koenigsegg metal badges in here off the rear fender scoops. Mirrors are detailed okay. Nice clear reflective lenses in the back. You've of course got your little 1-1 logo on the side, which is just printed. And the back of the model, they've done a good job on the tail lights. As I say, you do have photo etch mesh through the rear of the car. And they've done a really nice job on the purple exhaust tip as well. It really does look like anodized purple. And it does have a little 1-1 logo on the top of the exhaust outlet as well. So again, you've got the tampon printing of the carbon pattern through the side there. But the rear diffuser is your embossed plastic to look like carbon fiber. Now, one thing I did want to mention is that the wing is movable. It doesn't move much, maybe 3 to 4 millimeters, but that's a nice little touch as well to have that working rear spoiler. Now, as I say, overall the paint finish is really quite good. It's nice and super glossy. There's no thin edges on mine. The application is really quite good. And yeah, overall, I think the model really presents well. Now, let's get to the doors. So, famous Koenigsegg doors. They will swing out first. You can see the mechanisms in there. So, the mechanisms are metal. They are screwed in place. And then the door rotates up. So they don't feel really flimsy, they feel quite solid. I'm pretty happy with the way they feel. There's usually, there's a lot of doubts with, that one squeaks a little bit. And you can only open them so far before the window will actually touch the hood. So I've just stopped those just before it touches the hood. So that's as far as they do open. They're not true vertical, but they work quite good. And as I say, you want to be a little bit careful with all of these composite models, but in saying that, they feel reasonably solid to me, so I'm pretty happy with that. Now the interior, while the doors are open, let's have a look at that. Most of it's just plastic. You've got a nice bit of texture behind the seats. Let me handle that. There's a little bit of texture on the floor. You do have a carbon pattern on the sills, which is nice, and the center console, that's quite plain. You've got the plain steering wheel, and you do have some little photo etched gear shift paddles behind the steering wheel as well. Now the carbon on the top of the dashboard, that is embossed plastic, so you can actually feel it. It's not tampon printing or a decal. but you do get cloth seat belts as well with the little seatbelt buckles there. So overall, I'm pretty happy. My steering wheel does move a little bit. Oh, there we go. It's a bit stiff. It is turning the wheels, so you do have workable steering on the model also. So yeah, overall I'm pretty happy with that. With the doors, the way they open, and also they feel quite solid as well. As I say, you want to be a little bit careful with them. You can sort of push them into place. So they do align quite good. I'm sure with that complicated mechanism, there's quite a few moving parts in there. But the doors seem to close up pretty good, as you can see. There is a little bit bigger gap than usually on a composite model, but obviously the front and rear clamshells open, so they need a bit of extra clearance. So yeah, that's it. So let's open up the front. Now, I think I'll just open these doors a little bit so I don't get any binding issues. Now this is all composite. Now this feels a little delicate. Okay, so lifting it up and pulling it forward seems to be the best way to get that open. So I'm always a little bit nervous with that. You don't want to break a hinge. It does seem to have metal hinges under the hood here, and you've got these two struts as well which hold it up. I might point out that you've got photo etch mesh in these two hood openings as well. And with the 1.1 you have these big cooling ducts in the front. These are textured plastic as well, they're not decals. Same as this big windscreen cowl panel also. Now that is, I don't know whether you can see that, that's actually embossed plastic as well. So quite a lot of use of the textured plastic to look like carbon fibre. I guess that's just a lot cheaper for them to manufacture. You've got some nice little latches and other detail pieces in there. So overall, it actually looks quite good. I'm pretty happy with that. We might just open the doors up a little bit more. Obviously the doors don't open all the way up with the hood up because of the windows. They curve in and touch the hood. But that looks pretty good. As I say, this is a $270 US model. It's not as expensive as a resin model, but it all opens up as well. So that's not too bad. I would take a little bit of care actually closing that down. A little bit nervous. And now we'll open up the back section. So that seems to open up a lot easier than the front. That just swings straight up, whereas the hood moves out and lifts up. So that is the engine of the beast. Now as I can see from here, this has the textured plastic in here again for the air boxes. Really nice detail on the exhaust system here with the gold bands on the exhaust. Let me see if I can pick this up. I don't want to drop it. A very expensive model. You do have a little bit of detail there on the triplex suspension system, the crossbar, the shock absorbers and the springs. But I have to say, there's not a massive amount of detail in there. You've got a few strut braces going left and right. But yeah, there's not really a lot to see. So I am actually going to display this model in its fully open position like so, because I have the AUTOart 1.1 in silver, which is a sealed resin model. So nice to have the two opened up next to each other. So overall, look, I think AUTOart has done a really good job on this model. As I say, there's been some reports of quality control issues with the opening of the doors. Obviously, if you get one of those models, I would be sending it back and make sure that you get one that is in perfect condition like this one. So overall, is it worth $270 US? Well, I think that AUTOart are definitely cutting costs here and there, especially with the use with the textured plastic on a lot of the aero parts. All the older models were all tampon printed. Wherever there was carbon fibre, it was tampon printed. So I think bringing in the use of textured plastic is a negative for the model. And the other negative would be the just the matte finish on all the carbon fibre. Other than that, when it's sitting on the shelf in the showcase, it actually looks pretty good. So it is cheaper than a sealed resin model, and it fully opens as well. So there's a compromise there. Yes, you get an opening model, but the carbon is not as accurately done, and there's definitely less detail in the engine and the interior as well. But overall, look, I think it's a great model. I'm pretty happy with it. I think, as I say, to have a model that fully opens up like this, sitting next to my sealed version, it was worth the money for me. I still think, though, that AUTOart really need to stop cutting so many corners with their models, especially with semi-sealed models that they're producing now, and definitely this use of textured plastic. It just doesn't cut it for me for a $270 model. I think when you're paying this sort of money, you at least expect the tampon printing or decal work, not embossed plastic. That's for the cheaper model makers to build their models like that. So I'll leave it up to you guys to decide whether you want to add one to the collection. Look, as I say, I'm pretty happy with this model. I think it looks really, really good. Yes, it has its negatives, but it has its positives as well. So that's it for today's review. I hope you enjoyed having a closer look at this brand new AUTOart Koenigsegg One. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and the like button. We've got a ton of new model reviews on the way, more custom models to build, more how-to tutorials, and we'll see what other supercar stuff we can throw in there also. So to all my long-time subscribers, thank you very much for your support. To all my new viewers, stay tuned. There's a lot more exciting stuff coming to the channel, a lot more wicked model reviews and custom models. So until next time, thanks for watching today's review of this AUTOart Koenigsegg One, and thanks for watching Rob's Model Cars.